Have you ever wondered why some people thrive well into their 90s, while others begin to decline shortly after 75? Why do certain 80-year-olds still garden daily, travel internationally, and remember every grandchild's birthday, while others struggle with basic mobility and cognition? Is it purely genetics? Or could there be hidden factors silently determining your longevity that no one has told you about? The truth may surprise you. It's rarely about the obvious things doctors measure. The secret predictors of how many vibrant years you have left aren't always found in medical textbooks or routine checkups. In fact, most seniors make critical daily mistakes without realizing it, believing they're doing everything right, while these invisible factors steadily chip away at their remaining years. Today, I'm revealing the 10 most powerful predictors of longevity after 75 that most doctors never discuss. These aren't just numbers on a chart. They're subtle signs your body is giving you right now. By the end of this, you'll never look at aging the same way again. Before we dive in, click subscribe and turn on notifications if you value your independence and want to stay vibrant for years to come. And I want to know you're with me. Type years in the comments if you're committed to maximizing your longevity. Your voice matters more than you know. The hidden truth about aging. What if everything you've been told about aging is incomplete? We've all heard about eating well and staying active, but the reality is more complex. As we age beyond 75, our bodies change in ways that transform how we respond to our environment. Foods that nourished us at 60 might quietly harm us at 80. Activities considered healthy might actually accelerate decline for certain seniors. The medical establishment rarely addresses these age-specific concerns. Instead, they offer generalized advice that fails to acknowledge how dramatically different your body is at 75 plus compared to earlier decades. This leads millions of seniors to unknowingly sabotage their longevity despite their best intentions. What's worse, the damage accumulates silently, imperceptibly, until one day you notice you can't recall names as easily, or that short walk to the mailbox leaves you winded, or that recovery from minor setbacks takes weeks instead of days. By then, precious time has been lost. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the real indicators of longevity after 75, the subtle signs that truly predict whether you'll thrive for another decade or more, or whether you're unknowingly accelerating your decline. These aren't theoretical concepts. They're practical, observable signs you can assess right now. Let's begin with the first sign, one that might seem contradictory to everything you've heard about health and aging, but it could be the most powerful predictor of all. The first longevity predictor isn't just about having good blood pressure, it's about something doctors rarely discuss: your blood pressure pattern throughout the day. Most seniors focus solely on getting that 120/80 reading at the doctor's office, but here's the shocking truth. Your blood pressure fluctuation pattern may matter more than the absolute numbers. Let me explain this hidden mechanism. After age 75, your blood vessels become less elastic, less forgiving. They don't respond to pressure changes as smoothly as they once did. The medical community has fixated on keeping your numbers low, but here's what they're missing. Excessive blood pressure drops can be just as dangerous as high readings for seniors. Here's the twist that few discuss. When your blood pressure drops too low, particularly after meals or when standing up, it creates mini episodes of reduced blood flow to your brain and vital organs. These aren't dramatic enough to cause fainting, though sometimes they do, but they're significant enough to cause cumulative damage. The symptoms are subtle but telling. That momentary dizziness when you stand up, the afternoon mental fog after eating, the need to pause on stairs, not because your legs are tired, but because you feel slightly disoriented. These aren't just annoying age-related inconveniences. They're warning signals that your pressure pattern may be compromising your longevity. What's most dangerous is that many seniors are over-medicated for hypertension, creating these harmful drops without realizing it. The very medication meant to extend your life might be silently shortening it through these repeated episodes of hypoperfusion. Studies from longevity centers in Japan have found that seniors with stable blood pressure patterns throughout the day, avoiding both spikes and drops, lived an average of 3.7 years longer than those with the same average blood pressure, but greater fluctuations. How can you tell if this is affecting you? Pay attention to symptoms like transient dizziness, afternoon fatigue that varies by day, intermittent blurred vision, or concentration difficulties that come and go. These aren't just aging, they're potential signs of blood pressure instability that's directly impacting your longevity prospects. The solution isn't simple. It's not about stopping medications or ignoring high readings. It's about a calibrated approach we'll discuss later. But recognizing this pattern could add years to your life when properly addressed. This blood pressure pattern, not just the numbers, could be silently determining how many birthdays you have left. The second predictor might seem so simple you'll be tempted to dismiss it, but the science is undeniable. It's your grip strength, something rarely measured yet profoundly revealing about your remaining years. Most seniors worry about memory, heart health, and cancer risks, all valid concerns. But few realize that something as basic as how firmly you can grip an object may be one of the most powerful predictors of longevity after 75. Studies have found that grip strength outperforms many traditional medical measurements in predicting how long you'll live. Why is this simple measure so revealing? Because grip strength isn't just about your hands. It's a window into your entire body's resilience. It reflects the health of your nervous system, your overall muscle mass, your nutritional status, and your body's inflammatory state. It's a cumulative measure of how well your body is maintaining itself against the forces of aging. Here's what happens. After 75, your body prioritizes which systems get maintenance resources. When those resources become limited due to inflammation, poor nutrition, or metabolic issues, your peripheral systems show decline first. Your hand grip weakens before more obvious systems fail. It's an early warning system, a canary in the coal mine for overall vitality. The evidence is striking. A large-scale study following thousands of seniors found that each 11-pound decrease in grip strength was associated with a 16% higher risk of all-cause mortality in people over 70. Even more surprising, grip strength predicted mortality more accurately than blood pressure readings. This isn't merely about strength. It's about the coordinated function of your nerves, muscles, circulation, and energy systems. When you notice you're struggling with jar lids you once opened easily, or grocery bags feel heavier than they should, or you need two hands for tasks that once required one, these aren't just inconveniences. They're valuable data points about your longevity trajectory. The decline is usually gradual, almost imperceptible day to day. You adapt without noticing, using tools to open containers, asking for help more often, or simply avoiding certain tasks. But these adaptations mask an important signal your body is sending about your remaining vital years. The tragedy is that most seniors accept this weakening as inevitable when it's often reversible with the right interventions. Proper protein intake, strategic resistance exercises, and certain nutritional compounds can dramatically improve grip strength even after 80, potentially adding years to your life. The key is recognizing this silent predictor and understanding it's not just about your hands, it's about your future. And if simple grip strength can predict so much, imagine what our next sign reveals about your longevity prospects. The third sign that predicts how many years you have left isn't found in any blood test or medical scan. It's something you experience daily, but probably never connected to longevity: your recovery time from minor stresses. How quickly does your body bounce back after a poor night's sleep? How long does it take for your breathing to normalize after climbing stairs? How many hours or days do you need to feel normal again after a busy day with the grandchildren? This recovery capacity, more than your performance itself, reveals profound truths about your remaining years. Here's the revelation that aging research has uncovered. After 75, it's not what you can do that matters most for longevity, it's how quickly you return to baseline afterward. This recovery ability reflects your body's resilience, its reserve capacity, and its ability to repair itself. All critical factors in determining lifespan. Let me explain the biology. Each time your body faces stress, whether physical exertion, emotional strain, or even fighting a minor cold, it activates recovery systems. Your mitochondria, your cell's power plants, shift into repair mode, inflammation rises and then should fall, stress hormones spike and then normalize. As we age, this recovery cycle becomes less efficient. The difference between someone who'll live to 95 and someone who'll decline quickly after 75 often lies in this recovery efficiency. The symptoms are subtle but revealing. Needing an entire day to recover from light gardening when it used to take just an hour. Finding that a good night's sleep no longer fully refreshes you. Noticing that minor infections like colds now linger for weeks instead of days. Discovering that emotional stress drains your energy for longer periods. The science is compelling. Researchers at longevity centers have found that recovery metrics predict mortality risk independent of other health markers. One study showed that heart rate recovery after minimal exertion, how quickly your pulse returns to normal after standing up from a chair, predicted mortality risk with surprising accuracy. Seniors whose heart rates took more than 20 seconds longer to recover than their same-age peers had nearly twice the mortality risk over the following 5 years. What's most concerning is how easy it is to miss this signal. We naturally adjust our activities as recovery slows, creating fewer opportunities to even notice the change. We blame aging itself rather than recognizing this as a modifiable factor that directly impacts lifespan. The good news? Recovery capacity can be dramatically improved at any age. Certain nutrients support cellular repair mechanisms. Specific breathing techniques can enhance your autonomic nervous system's recovery function, and properly structured physical activity can rebuild recovery capacity even if you're well into your 80s. But first, you must recognize when this capacity is diminishing. If you've been needing longer rest periods, experiencing extended fatigue after normal activities, or finding that you're not quite yourself until many hours after stress or exertion, your body is signaling critical information about your longevity trajectory. The fourth predictor might be the most surprising, and it happens every time you eat a meal. It's your taste sensitivity, particularly your ability to detect subtle flavors. This seemingly inconsequential sense change may be quietly forecasting your remaining years. Most seniors expect some taste changes with age. Food doesn't taste quite as vibrant, spices seem muted, and meals don't bring the same pleasure they once did. Most people dismiss this as an inevitable, harmless part of aging, but cutting-edge longevity research has uncovered something remarkable. Declining taste sensitivity, especially for certain flavors, directly correlates with mortality risk after 75. Here's why this connection exists. Your taste buds aren't just for enjoyment. They're sophisticated neurological sensors connected to multiple body systems. Their function reflects the health of your cranial nerves, your brain's sensory processing centers, and even your cellular repair mechanisms. When these systems begin to falter, your taste perception often declines before more obvious cognitive or neurological symptoms appear. The most telling change is in your ability to detect bitterness. This specific taste sensitivity is linked to both neurological health and immune function. Longitudinal studies have found that seniors who experienced significant decline in bitter taste recognition had a 43% higher all-cause mortality rate over the following decade compared to those whose bitter taste recognition remained sharp. The symptoms develop gradually, needing more salt or sugar to enjoy foods, failing to notice when food has spoiled, finding that complex dishes all taste somewhat similar, losing interest in eating because food brings less pleasure. These aren't merely quality-of-life issues, they're potential warnings about your neurological health and longevity prospects. What makes this predictor particularly valuable is how early it appears, often 3 to 5 years before other neurological symptoms become noticeable. It's like an advance warning system, giving you precious time to intervene before more serious decline begins. Most concerning is that taste decline often leads to poor nutritional choices, adding more salt or sugar, choosing more processed foods with stronger artificial flavors, which further accelerates aging and reduces longevity. This creates a dangerous cycle that silently erodes your remaining years. The medical establishment rarely assesses taste function or recognizes its significance. Standard checkups don't include taste testing, and complaints about food tasting different are often dismissed as normal aging. Yet this overlooked sense may be offering critical clues about your future. Researchers in taste neurology have discovered that certain compounds can help restore taste sensitivity even in very advanced age. Specific trace minerals, nerve-supporting nutrients, and even taste-training exercises can revitalize this sense, potentially extending both lifespan and the enjoyment of each remaining year. If you've noticed foods tasting flatter or needing more seasoning to enjoy meals, your body may be sending an important signal about your longevity pathway, one that deserves attention rather than resignation. The fifth sign moves from the physical to the psychological, yet its power to predict longevity after 75 is remarkable. It's what gerontologists call social anticipation, your emotional response to upcoming social interactions. Do you look forward to social gatherings, or do you increasingly find reasons to avoid them? Do you anticipate visits from family with genuine excitement, or do they now seem more exhausting than energizing? This subtle shift in how you emotionally forecast social events correlates strongly with how many vital years you have ahead. The longevity connection is fascinating. When researchers studied psychological factors affecting lifespan, they discovered something unexpected. It wasn't just having social connections that mattered, it was the anticipatory emotion associated with those connections that predicted longevity. Seniors who maintained positive anticipation for social interactions lived an average of 4.6 years longer than those who viewed upcoming social events with neutrality or dread. Why does this psychological factor have such physical consequences? The anticipation of social connection triggers neurobiological cascades that affect your entire body. Positive social anticipation increases oxytocin production, optimizes stress hormone patterns, improves immune function, and triggers anti-inflammatory pathways. These physical changes directly impact cellular aging and resilience. The decline happens subtly. You might find yourself feeling relieved when plans get cancelled or needing more recovery time after visits. You might notice you're creating reasons to limit interaction duration or preferring phone calls to in-person meetings. These aren't simply changing preferences, they may reflect changing brain chemistry that directly impacts longevity. What makes this sign particularly valuable is how modifiable it is. While some physical longevity factors require intensive intervention, social anticipation patterns can often be shifted through relatively simple psychological approaches. The medical community rarely assesses this factor. Standard geriatric evaluations might note social isolation, but fail to capture the crucial anticipatory element that more strongly predicts lifespan. This oversight means many seniors miss opportunities to address a powerful longevity factor. Research from positive psychology has identified specific techniques that can rekindle social anticipation even after it has diminished. Certain types of reminiscence practices anticipatory savoring exercises, and even specific nutritional compounds that support the brain's reward pathways can help restore this powerful longevity predictor. If you've noticed yourself becoming less enthusiastic about upcoming gatherings, making excuses to avoid visits you once enjoyed, or feeling more drained than energized by the thought of social interaction, your psychological state may be sending important signals about your longevity trajectory. Signals worth heeding. This psychological factor might seem less concrete than medical measurements, but its impact on your remaining years is just as real. And as we continue through our list, you'll discover even more surprising predictors that doctors rarely discuss. The sixth predictor happens during the hours you spend unconscious every night, your sleep position. This might seem trivial compared to medical measurements, but emerging research reveals it may significantly influence how many years you have left. Most people assume sleep quality matters only for daily energy and comfort. But here's what longevity researchers have discovered. Your sleep position directly impacts critical biological processes that determine how quickly your body ages. Specifically, it affects your glymphatic system, your brain's cleanup mechanism that removes harmful proteins like beta-amyloid and tau that accelerate cognitive decline. Here's the revelation that's changing how geriatricians view sleep. Studies from neuroscience research centers have found that side sleeping, particularly on your left side, enhances this cleanup process by up to 25% compared to back or stomach sleeping. This seemingly small difference compounds night after night, potentially adding years to your cognitive health and overall longevity. The warning signs of problematic sleep positioning are subtle. Waking with unexplained stiffness, experiencing more senior moments despite adequate sleep hours, noticing declining morning energy despite sleeping through the night, or having unexplained fluctuations in blood pressure readings. These aren't just random occurrences. They may reflect insufficient brain cleanup during sleep due to suboptimal positioning. What's particularly concerning is how this factor compounds over time. A 75-year-old who sleeps predominantly on their back might experience accelerated cognitive aging compared to a side sleeper of the same age, even if all other health metrics are identical. This gap widens each year, potentially determining who remains sharp and independent at 90 versus who requires care at 80. The medical community rarely addresses sleep position in relation to longevity. Standard recommendations focus on comfort or specific conditions like acid reflux, completely overlooking the profound neurological cleaning that determines how your brain ages. This oversight means countless seniors are missing a simple opportunity to extend their cognitive lifespan. The good news is how easily modifiable this factor is. Unlike some health interventions requiring medications or difficult lifestyle changes, sleep position can be adjusted immediately. Special pillows designed for side sleeping, body positioning techniques, and even simple bedroom arrangements can transform this longevity factor overnight. If you've noticed your thinking isn't as sharp as it used to be despite getting enough sleep, or if you frequently wake with unexplained stiffness and brain fog, your nighttime position might be silently affecting your longevity prospects. This overlooked aspect of sleep might be the key to maintaining your mental clarity for years longer than expected. The seventh predictor is literally right before your eyes, yet almost no one recognizes its profound connection to lifespan. Your pupil response. How quickly your pupils adjust to changing light conditions. Most people associate pupil changes with vision or emotional responses. However, groundbreaking research in neurology has revealed something remarkable. Pupil responsiveness directly reflects the health of your autonomic nervous system, the master control network that regulates everything from heart rate to digestion to stress responses. Here's the critical connection. After age 75, your autonomic nervous system's function becomes one of the strongest predictors of remaining lifespan. Studies tracking seniors for decades found that those with more responsive pupils, quick to adapt to light changes, lived an average of 4 to 7 years longer than those with sluggish pupil responses, even when controlling for all other health factors. Why does this matter? Because your pupil response isn't just about vision. It's a visible window into how efficiently your entire nervous system functions. When your pupils adjust quickly, it indicates your body maintains robust neural signaling, efficient cellular communication, and better overall system resilience, all critical factors in how gracefully and how long you'll live. The symptoms of declining pupil responsiveness aren't obvious unless you know what to look for. Needing more time to adjust when moving between bright and dim environments, experiencing more sensitivity to headlights when driving at night, noticing increased difficulty navigating in low-light conditions, or feeling more visual fatigue during activities that involve changing light levels. What makes this predictor particularly valuable is how early it appears, often years before other more recognized signs of neural aging. It's like an early warning system for your entire nervous system's health, giving you precious time to intervene before more serious decline begins. Most concerning is that standard medical checkups never assess this critical longevity marker. Eye exams focus on vision acuity and eye health, but rarely measure pupillary response speed as it relates to neural aging and longevity. This oversight means you could be missing crucial information about your remaining lifespan that's literally visible in your eyes. The good news is that emerging research has identified specific nutritional compounds and targeted exercises that can help maintain and sometimes even improve neural transmission speed and pupillary response. These interventions, which include specific carotenoids, cholinergic compounds, and even specialized visual exercises, can potentially extend both quality and quantity of life by supporting this fundamental neural pathway. If you've noticed yourself needing more time to adjust to darkness after being in bright light, or feeling more visually overwhelmed by changing light conditions, your body might be signaling important information about your longevity trajectory, information worth heeding. The eighth predictor is something you experience every day, but likely never connected to longevity: your body's ability to regulate its temperature, how quickly you adjust to heat and cold, and how comfortable you remain in changing environments. Most seniors attribute their increased sensitivity to temperature as simply part of getting older. But here's the revelation from thermoregulation research. Your body's ability to maintain internal temperature reflects fundamental aspects of your metabolic health, circulatory efficiency, and cellular resilience, all powerful determinants of longevity after 75. The science is striking. Studies tracking thousands of seniors found that those with more stable body temperatures, less affected by environmental changes, and quicker to return to baseline after exposure to heat or cold lived significantly longer than those with poor temperature regulation, with an average difference of 3.5 years in lifespan. Here's why this connection exists. Temperature regulation requires coordinated function across multiple body systems. Your cardiovascular system must adjust blood flow. Your nervous system must detect changes accurately. Your metabolic processes must generate or conserve heat appropriately, and your endocrine system must balance it all. This complex orchestration provides a window into your overall physiological resilience, essentially how much reserve capacity your body maintains. The symptoms develop so gradually many miss them, finding yourself increasingly uncomfortable in temperatures that once felt normal, needing more layers than others the same age, experiencing prolonged recovery after being too hot or cold, noticing increased fatigue in temperature extremes, or finding that temperature variations affect your thinking and energy more than they once did. What makes this marker particularly valuable is its comprehensive nature. It integrates information from multiple body systems into one observable pattern that strongly correlates with longevity. Yet standard medical assessments almost never evaluate temperature regulation beyond checking for acute fever. The most concerning aspect is how this factor compounds other health challenges. Poor temperature regulation increases stress on your heart, drives inflammation higher, and accelerates cellular aging, creating a cascade that can shorten lifespan. Yet because the changes happen gradually, most seniors adapt without realizing the underlying decline in this critical function. The promising news is that temperature regulation capacity can be significantly improved at almost any age through specific interventions. Targeted circulation-enhancing compounds, gradual temperature exposure training, similar to principles used by winter swimmers, and specific nutritional approaches can strengthen your body's temperature regulation mechanisms, potentially extending both comfort and lifespan. If you've noticed yourself becoming increasingly sensitive to temperature changes, or if recovering from being too hot or cold takes longer than it once did, your body may be revealing important information about your longevity potential, information that deserves attention rather than resignation. The ninth predictor may be the most surprising of all. It's in your voice, specifically in the subtle changes to your speech patterns that most dismiss as normal aging, but actually predict how many years you have remaining. While most people expect their voice to change somewhat with age, few realize that specific speech pattern changes, beyond just voice quality, strongly correlate with remaining lifespan. These aren't the obvious changes like hoarseness, but rather subtle shifts in pacing, word choice, sentence structure, and narrative organization. Groundbreaking research in cognitive linguistics has revealed something remarkable. Speech pattern analysis can predict cognitive decline and mortality risk with surprising accuracy, often 3 to 5 years before conventional medical tests detect any problem. In one landmark study, researchers analyzing recorded speech samples from seniors could predict with 82% accuracy which individuals would experience significant health decline or mortality within 5 years. What makes speech patterns so revealing? They integrate multiple aspects of neural health: cognitive processing speed, working memory, executive function, language centers, and even emotional regulation, providing a comprehensive window into your brain's overall condition. These neural networks are fundamental to longevity, as they control everything from stress management to decision-making to physiological regulation. The changes are subtle but telling, taking slightly longer to find common words, using simpler sentence structures than you once did, relying more on familiar phrases rather than generating novel expressions, having more difficulty staying on topic during complex discussions, or finding storytelling requires more concentration than it once did. What makes this predictor particularly valuable is how sensitive it is to early changes, often detecting subtle neural alterations years before they manifest as diagnosable conditions. It's like having an early alert system for your brain's health, potentially giving you precious time to intervene before more significant decline begins. Most concerning is that these changes typically happen so gradually that both seniors and their families adapt without noticing, attributing the shifts to just getting older rather than recognizing them as actionable signals about longevity trajectory. Standard medical checkups rarely assess speech patterns beyond screening for acute neurological events like strokes. The hopeful news is that emerging research has identified specific interventions that can help maintain and sometimes even restore neural networks related to speech. Targeted cognitive exercises, specific nutritional compounds supporting neural communication, and novel social engagement approaches can strengthen these pathways, potentially extending both cognitive health and overall lifespan. If you've noticed subtle changes in how you express yourself, finding words requires more effort, crafting complex explanations takes more concentration, or maintaining your train of thought during discussions is more challenging, these aren't just inconveniences. They're potentially valuable signals about your longevity trajectory that deserve attention rather than resignation. The final predictor brings us full circle to something seemingly simple yet profoundly revealing: your humor response. How readily you laugh and find joy in daily experiences. Most people view laughter as just a pleasant part of life or a reflection of personality. However, longitudinal studies tracking seniors for decades have uncovered something remarkable. Humor response, specifically how easily and frequently you laugh, is one of the strongest psychoneurological predictors of longevity after 75. The research is compelling. Studies from multiple countries have found that seniors with more active humor responses, who laugh more readily and find more situations amusing, lived an average of 4 to 8 years longer than their more serious counterparts, even when controlling for all other health and lifestyle factors. Here's the biological connection few understand. Genuine laughter creates a cascade of physiological responses that directly impact longevity pathways. It triggers endorphin release, reduces stress hormones like cortisol, improves immune function, increases blood flow, and even temporarily increases oxygen saturation in tissues. These aren't just momentary changes. They create cumulative effects that influence cellular aging and system resilience. The decline in humor response happens subtly, finding fewer things genuinely funny, laughing less spontaneously than you once did, requiring more obvious humor to trigger laughter, noticing that amusement feels more intellectual than emotional, or experiencing shorter duration laughing episodes. These aren't just changes in preference. They reflect alterations in critical neural pathways. What makes this predictor particularly valuable is its dual nature as both a diagnostic signal and a therapeutic tool. Your humor response not only reveals information about your neural health and stress regulation capacity, but also offers a direct pathway to improve these systems through intentional cultivation of laughter and joy. Most concerning is how this capacity often diminishes without conscious awareness. Seniors and their families typically attribute reduced laughter to life circumstances or maturity, rather than recognizing it as a potentially modifiable factor directly linked to longevity. Standard geriatric assessments rarely consider humor response as clinically relevant. The encouraging news is how responsive this system remains even in very advanced age. Research has shown that humor capacity can be significantly restored through specific practices, including laughter yoga, humor exposure training, and even biochemical support for the neurological pathways that enable genuine mirth. These interventions don't just make life more enjoyable, they may directly extend it. If you've noticed yourself laughing less easily or finding fewer situations genuinely amusing, your neurological systems might be sending important signals about your longevity trajectory, signals that offer both warning and opportunity. Having explored all 10 signs, here's what makes this approach truly revolutionary. These signs don't exist in isolation. They form an interconnected web that collectively determines your longevity potential. Most medical approaches treat your body as a collection of separate systems, measuring individual metrics without recognizing how deeply connected they are. But longevity research has revealed something profound. It's the integration and coordination between systems, not just their individual function, that most powerfully predicts lifespan. Your blood pressure patterns affect your taste sensitivity. Your grip strength influences your temperature regulation. Your recovery time impacts your speech patterns. And all of these connections create a comprehensive picture of your remaining vitality that no single measurement can capture. This explains why traditional medical assessments sometimes miss the forest for the trees, measuring individual parameters without recognizing how they interact. A senior might have normal readings on standard tests while still showing clear signs of accelerated aging through these 10 integrated predictors. What's most promising about this interconnected approach is how improvements cascade through multiple systems. When you strengthen one area like recovery capacity or temperature regulation, you often see benefits in other areas like grip strength or speech patterns. This creates compound benefits for longevity that exceed what would be expected from addressing any single factor. Now that you understand these powerful predictors, what specific actions can you take to potentially add years to your life? Here's your comprehensive longevity action plan. Monitor your blood pressure pattern. Don't just track the numbers. Pay attention to fluctuations throughout the day. Consider a home monitoring device that measures throughout the day. If you notice significant drops after meals or when standing, discuss medication adjustments with your doctor. Strengthen your grip. Incorporate isometric hand exercises daily. Use a stress ball or hand gripper. Ensure adequate protein intake, 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight daily. Consider specific nutrients like creatine and vitamin D that support grip strength. Improve recovery capacity. Practice deep breathing exercises between activities. Ensure proper hydration before, during, and after exertion. Consider adaptogens like rhodiola and ashwagandha that support recovery pathways. Allow slightly longer rest periods between activities but don't eliminate activity. Enhance taste sensitivity. Incorporate zinc-rich foods like pumpkin seeds and lentils. Practice taste training by slowly savoring different flavors. Reduce use of overpowering seasonings like excess salt and sugar. Consider alpha-lipoic acid supplements that support taste bud regeneration. Cultivate social anticipation. Schedule regular social activities with people who energize you. Practice positive visualization before social events. Keep social engagements shorter but more frequent. Consider tyrosine and B vitamin support for dopamine pathways that influence social pleasure. Optimize sleep position. Train yourself to start sleep on your left side. Use body pillows designed for side sleeping. Consider bed arrangements that encourage side positioning. Track morning mental clarity and adjust as needed. Support pupil response. Incorporate lutein and zeaxanthin in your diet through dark leafy greens. Practice pupil response exercises with changing light conditions. Consider acetyl L-carnitine that supports neural transmission speed. Limit extended exposure to very bright or very dim conditions. Improve temperature regulation. Practice gradual temperature adaptation daily. Ensure adequate hydration for better circulation. Consider ginkgo biloba for microcirculation support. Incorporate short-duration contrast temperatures, warm, cool, to train regulatory systems. Maintain speech patterns. Engage in complex conversations regularly. Read aloud daily to maintain articulation. Practice word-finding exercises or crosswords. Consider choline and omega-3 supplements that support neural communication. Enhance humor response. Schedule time for humor daily. Join laughter yoga or humor groups. Revisit comedy that made you laugh in the past. Consider L-theanine that supports relaxation necessary for genuine humor response. What you've just learned isn't just interesting information, it's potentially life-changing knowledge. The signs we've discussed aren't merely indicators of how many years you have left. They're gateways to potentially extending those years through targeted interventions. Most seniors wait until problems become obvious before taking action. But the science is clear. The earlier you address these subtle predictors, the more significant the impact on your remaining years. Even small improvements across these 10 areas can compound to add significant quality time to your life. Remember, these aren't just theories. They're based on decades of longevity research that has identified the true determinants of how long and how well you'll live after 75. While the medical establishment focuses on treating diseases after they develop, You now have the knowledge to potentially prevent decline before it begins. Don't let another day pass without taking action. Start with just 1 or 2 areas that resonated most with you. Small, consistent changes often yield the most remarkable results. If you found this information valuable, click subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss our future revelations about extending your vital years. And I want to know your committed type longevity in the comments if you're ready to take control of how many vibrant years you have left. Your future self, perhaps at 85, 90 or beyond, will thank you for the actions you take today. Because when it comes to longevity after 75, knowledge truly is power, and you now possess knowledge that few others have.